in terms of on the ground, everything is destroyed. Everything is flattened. You drive and drive, and there's rubble everywhere. I mean, there's more rubble in Gaza, significantly more rubble in Gaza than all of Ukraine, which is kind of hard to imagine because Gaza is the size of Las Vegas or Philadelphia, and Ukraine is the size of Texas. So and in spite of that, you see kids kind of like trying to figure out what to play with. There's no toys and there's little food, and so they're playing in the rubble. But yeah, no, the ground, it's I don't know, sad isn't the word. It's well, I think I've said to Ryan, like, nobody else on earth has experienced what these 2.2 million people have experienced. Like, nobody. And people say, well, what about Congo? And what about this? Nobody has been subject to 24-hour airstrikes from F-16s, F-15s, F-35s with giant bombs with nowhere to go, nonstop drone, nonstop artillery, nonstop tanks. Nobody. It's never happened in the history of mankind because, there's no air defense, there's no anti-artillery, there's nothing. And so in spite of all that, they somehow still continue. And I'm in touch with, I would say, thousands of people in Gaza since, what we do. And all of them are just always, if there's a slightest word about a ceasefire, they would tell me, oh, I think there's going to be a ceasefire tomorrow. And, in my mind, I know it's just, political games that people are playing with their lives, so it's like nothing. I say there's 8 billion people in the world, and there's 2.2 million people who lived in Gaza in the last 2 years. And the two of them are nothing alike.
Yeah. I just wanted to underline that for a second. So you often hear people say, why is there so much focus on this particular situation? But you've worked in, where have you, Rwanda,
Congo, Somalia, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Ukraine, you name it. Yeah.
So not just different than anywhere else in the world now. Would you say that this is different than anything you've seen in your 3-decade career?
Yeah, it's the most disheartening, the most depressing, the most upsetting, the most difficult. And I've been clear on that since early to 2024, I think. 3 or 4 months in, it was very clear to me that there's never been anything like this. And I mean, hopefully there'll never be anything again like this, because it's redefined what war is, what war crimes are, what international norms are, what international law is. It's broken everything that, sort of was put in place in after World War II. And so, in our lifetimes, none of us have seen anything like this.
You've also been pretty directly involved in medical evacuations, going back to the beginning. Can you talk about what the process is for that? How difficult it is to get approvals, and how severely in medical crisis you have to be to get anywhere close to the approval process?
There are thousands and thousands of people who are on this list, and it's
who maintains this list?
The Gaza Ministry of Health, and it's impeccable. It's immaculate. Like, it's all details through all the hospitals, and you can't even figure out how they're doing this with intermittent electricity and all the attacks on the hospitals. You really can't figure out how they come up with all this information with identification and history and case files with all the details of whatever injury someone has received. And it's often airstrikes, it's often artillery, it's often shrapnel, and it's essentially what can't be treated inside Gaza. And they managed to treat somehow with almost no medicine and working conditions that only those health workers that do this every day, both from Gaza and the international ones that have been, many, as you know, have been banned for speaking out about what they've seen, because they've seen things that no one has ever seen. There are thousands and thousands of people on the list, a large number of children. And essentially, you need countries to take these people. There's no other way. So my involvement is actually just sort of encouraging heads of state to take specific cases that have been very difficult to find a home for. But the numbers, again, are they're embarrassing. I can say that less than 1,000 patients have been evacuated to Europe, let's say. There's the UAE, there's Jordan. So if you're looking at hundreds of thousands of people in need of evacuation, I'd say at different levels, but certainly in need of evacuation. It's piecemeal. The European evacuations go through a system that actually works, but you can't get approval. So it's WHO, it's the ERCC and EU CPM, and these are EU mechanisms for this purpose, and they work perfectly. But again, they need approvals from the host country governments, and that's where it's just very slow.
What about on the COGAT on the Israeli side? If you can get an approval for a host country to take a medical evacuation, how difficult is it at that point to get?
Oh, now that's not difficult actually, because they're happy to see everyone go. So we were clear from the beginning that this is ethnic cleansing activity. So now when you've got people who in the beginning of the genocide, you could say, let's say if there was a child, maybe the mother would want to go, but the rest of the family would want to stay. And now they've made it so difficult that everyone wants to go, right? So the uncles, the aunts, etc., and they're happy with that. But how do you find a government that will take that entire family? And it's just not happening. I mean, that's just the reality of it. There are thousands of people who are languishing, whether they're in the hospital or at home, essentially waiting to die because they can't get out. And then, there's another thing, and I think I mentioned this to you. They do this thing where they break up families. So, I was directly involved in a situation with a small child, and they refused to let his mom go. So his father became the caretaker. And so now their family's broken up. Majority of them are in Gaza, and the father and another one are looking after, the infant who's under 2. And that's miserable, right? Like, so the father's not a caretaker, and he's being one, and then he's worried about the rest of his family, his other children and his wife in Gaza, who are often in direct fire. So there's so many aspects to this thing that literally I've never seen before. That we could stay on for hours and hours, and I probably have to go put myself underwater or something afterwards.
Yes. So yes, somebody was telling me that they had that in their experience they had never seen a nuclear family who was allowed out together. I believe you had said that at one point too. That you've never seen that.
Family separation is a thing. It's a thing. They'll make up an excuse as to why you can't take your 8-year-old daughter along with your injured 4-year-old son. Yeah, they will do that. But now I think if you can get countries to accept the entire nuclear family, I think they will allow it. But they won't. The process of getting those families reunified is nearly impossible. I mean, I've been trying to reunify families all over Europe, and I think with zero success.
Right. Well, thank you for joining us. I don't know if you have any questions for Alex about what the flotilla is like.
I mean, I just salute all of you. I'm in Venice for our film. I'm an executive producer on a film called The Voice of Hind Rajab, and its world premieres tomorrow. So, we feel the strength of all the people around the world who are interested in this story, and just knowing that telling Hind's story is important, but there are thousands and thousands of stories like Hind, and it's almost debilitating. But Alex, how is everybody?
I'd say everyone's in good spirits, generally. People get seasick here and there. Some people aren't quite used to being on boats, but we all. I think everyone here, as far as I understand, are driven by, as it were, a higher purpose, and this sickness is not that bad.
Were you in Barcelona?
Yes.
Is that where you left from? I saw the video of that. It was amazing. Amazing.
It was, I probably don't have any words for it. It was
Yeah.
quite
No,
overwhelming. And it just affirmed, I think, something that you've said already in this interview, and I've heard many times over, which is it does feel as if we are on our own next to the governments of the world when it comes to what many people feel is the right thing, which is to help the people of Gaza in one way or another. And it's that alone is astounding. I think is worth pausing to contemplate. And we think,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've always been in a situation where, sort of we really can't rely on our governments, but it's amazing now, the solidarity and the understanding that, look, our own personal liberation doesn't run through any of these leaders, and certainly the liberation of Gaza doesn't run through any of these leaders. But as this movement grows, I think we'll get there. I think we'll get there, and maybe we'll even have leaders that represent us. But who knows? Anything's possible, I suppose.
Well, Ahmed, thank you. Really appreciate you taking out some time, and thanks for what you're doing and not giving up.
Yeah, none of us are ever going to give up. I mean, nobody on that flotilla is going to give up. Nobody in Genoa is going to give up. Nobody in the ports in Greece are going to give up. No one anywhere, I think, is ever going to give up. So we all take strength from each other, and we'll just keep going.
And good luck with the film. I hope it does well. Is this the one that Brad Pitt and those other A-listers?
Yeah, recently we had Brad Pitt, Joaquin Phoenix, and Rooney Mara, Alfonso Cuarón, and a few other high-profile names. Jonathan Glazer joined. I joined when it was a script because I'm not a movie guy, but I thought this story needs to be told. It's devastating, as each of these stories are. But the world we live in, sometimes, like, what was that? I don't know who it was. Was it Stalin or somebody who was talking about, one story is a tragedy and thousands are something else.
Right,
So
yeah.
yeah. So the director, Kauthar bin Hania, who's a brilliant storyteller, has weaved together a very realistic feature film about what happened. And we'll see. It's just about trying everything you can to get these stories out there, and that's why the flotilla is important, and that's why everything everyone is doing is important.
Speaking of evacuations, any progress on Hind's mother? Does she? I assume that she would like to be evacuated, and I assume that she's also at risk.
Yeah, I can't really talk
as a
about any of
result of
that.
her.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't discuss any of that for security reasons. So
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, because as we know, anybody who becomes known outside of Gaza, the risk to them becomes greater inside of Gaza.
Yep.
So, well, best of luck to you there. Hope that it gets the biggest audience possible.
Yeah, we'll keep fighting. All of us will keep fighting. So.